Hey guys, what's up? As you can see in the title of this video, something happened to me recently. And I'm not quite sure if I should say something excited happened to me, but I am quite excited because I received a letter from a prisoner from Texas. Okay, so no random prisoner from Texas just wrote me. Of course I wrote this guy first. And the guy I'm talking about is Clinton Young. Some of you may already know him, some of you may not. And for those of you who don't know who this is, Clinton Young is a guy who is currently on death row, even though there are a lot of doubts surrounding his case, and especially about his guilt. I got to know this guy when I saw the documentary Code Red, The Death Penalty, by a great filmmaker, Jessica Valerius, and the follow-up documentary she made about Young's case specifically. And for those of you who don't know this, I watch a lot of documentaries about pretty heavy topics like the death penalty, like I'm talking about now, but also documentaries about people with anorexia, documentaries about serial killers, stuff like that. Not that dark, I swear. So when I saw this documentary come out on YouTube, I just thought of it as just another documentary I'd like to watch. So I clicked on it, but this one really touched me in some way. Of course I feel sorry for the victims in these kinds of videos and for the people who struggle with illnesses and stuff like that, whatever the video is about. But this one in particular really got to me. I'm not quite sure why, but it really had started me thinking about the death penalty. For those of you who don't live in the Netherlands, we don't have a death penalty. You can't get sentenced to death by any judge in this country. So this whole death penalty thing has always been kind of abstract to me. You know, I'm not really quite sure what to think of it. But after the documentary, the death penalty, I really started to think about it. If you guys would like to watch this documentary, it's still available on YouTube and I'll put a link to it in the description. And I highly recommend you guys watching this because it shows all different sides of the death penalty. So is Jessica talking to prison guards, but also to people who are for the death penalty, people who are against the death penalty. And she's also talking to a grandmother whose granddaughter was murdered and her murderers were sentenced to death. And she's also talking to someone who is on death row right now, and that is Clinton Young. Like I said before, she also made a follow-up documentary about Young's case specifically, where she goes over the evidence again. And she basically comes to the conclusion that it's very unlikely that Young committed these crimes, even though he is sentenced to death for it. If you'd like to know more about Clinton Young's case, I highly recommend you watching this documentary as well. It's a Dutch documentary called Deal met de dood, translated to Deal with the Death. But like 80% of the documentary consists of English interviews, so even if you don't speak Dutch, you will be perfectly able to understand what's going on in the documentary, and I'll put a link to the video of it in the description as well. So like I said, those documentaries really got to me for some reason, and even though the documentary Code Red, The Death Penalty is 45 minutes long and Deal with the Death is even longer with 1.5 hours, I watched those two documentaries 3 times within a week. I wanted to absorb every last piece of information that was given in the documentary. And after that I did a little more research on Clinton Young and I stumbled upon a website called the Clinton Young Foundation. It's a Dutch foundation, but the website is in English as well, so I'll put a link to it in the description as well so you can see for yourself. On the website they're talking about his case, how it's developing, and they talk about the death penalty in general if you'd like to know more about that. So when I was reading through this website, I saw that people on death row don't get a lot of interaction. They sit in their cells for about 22 to 23 hours a day. And all they get to do to pass the time is read their mail. So that's the reason I decided to write this guy. I didn't know what to expect from it, and to be honest I don't really know anymore what I wrote to him since that happened basically 2 months ago. So at this point I didn't even thought I would get a response back. I thought this guy must be getting so many letters because of the documentaries that he probably doesn't have the time to answer anything. But he did. I received this letter and to be honest I've been dying to open this. It's been laying in my room for the last couple of days and I didn't want to open it until I was able to record this video. So what I wrote about exactly I cannot remember, But I know that I didn't want to talk about his case. He probably gets dozens of letters that say that they believe he's innocent and blah blah blah. And of course I briefly mentioned the documentaries and stuff like that in the letter. But I didn't want to talk about prison life. The reason I wrote him is that I wanted to set his mind off of things, especially right now, because I can imagine that this guy's thoughts must be all over the place, trying to get a new trial and preventing him from getting the death penalty. And now I'm talking about this, I realized that his execution date is only a month away from now. It's October 26th of 2017, so a little over a month from now. So if I accomplish that, I don't know, that's up to him to decide, of course. So since it's a personal letter, I'm not gonna read it out loud on camera, but I will read it for myself, and if there's anything mentionable, I will tell you guys, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, here I am again. But this letter really touched me. To see he's still so full of hope, and knowing that he's getting out is really inspirational, since Jessica Valerius said in her documentary that she's not so sure he's gonna make it because of this whole corrupt court system that there is in Texas and America, unfortunately. So what I wanted to accomplish with this video is not to discuss this letter or discuss Clinton Young's case even, but to open up the discussion about death penalty in general. Because what are your thoughts about it? After I watched the documentaries, I did a lot of thinking about the death penalty, and I'm still not really sure how to feel about it. But I think that I'm not really against the death penalty as a punishment. Of course, someone who steals an apple from the local supermarket shouldn't get a death penalty. But if you're a child molester, a serial killer, a rapist, if you have proven that you are a danger to society and that you cannot be trusted in society, then I don't see the point in making this person a part of our community. Of course, everyone deserves a second chance, and I don't want to wish death upon anyone, but some people just cannot be trusted in the community, and I don't think we should risk anyone's safety before that. I've heard a lot of different opinions on the death penalty. Some say it's too easy for the person who committed the crimes and they should be punished more. I've heard people say they'd rather be put to death than to live the rest of their lives behind bars. What's more humane to lock someone up for the rest of their lives, especially when they are convicted as young as Clinton Young, who was 18 when he was convicted of his crimes and 19 when he was put on death row. So yeah, I've heard a lot of different opinions already, and I'm really curious about what your ideas are. For me, if Mr. President Trump would come up to me and ask me to decide on whether the death penalty should be illegal in all states or not, I would definitely say yes, please make this illegal, because it's the whole court system that is just not right. There's still so much corruption going on. Like Clinton Young says in one of the documentaries, it's about holding up the statistics instead of justice. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and please check out the documentaries and the Clinton Young Foundation, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!
I can prove my innocence, I'm hopeful still. That's why the death penalty makes no sense, won't be a righteous kill. No rich man ever came here, no poor man ever left. Stop the death penalty. Please visit www.saveaninnocentlife.com. Save Clinton Young. I feel the hunger in the DA's mind, I see the tears in my mama's eyes while the prosecution's scheming. My mama is screaming, don't let my baby boy die. Life's like a lost page, cause I'm stuck on the chapter of pain. Through the rain, this is no game. I guess the love has been missing, the love has been missing, yeah.